I have a special guest with me today, Rick Copp. He's known for writing on sitcoms as iconic as The Golden Girls, and he's also written other screenplays for Scooby-Doo, The Brady Bunch, and many more. But his real passion is writing. So let me welcome Rick Copp. Thank you so much for joining us on California Limelight.
No, it's my pleasure.
So you have a lot of impressive work that we'll get to in just a moment, but, you know, from Golden Girls to one of my favorites, Muppets in Space, and The Brady Bunch, and plenty of other iconic pop culture hits. So why don't we start from the very beginning? You got interested in writing all the way when you were back in elementary. So,
yeah,
tell us about
grade.
that.
I was in the 5th grade, and I grew up in Bar Harbor, Maine, and the winters are very cold there. So I was coming up with ideas to be able to stay inside during recess. So I wrote a play based on Gilligan's Island and cast myself as Mr. Howell, and then I cast all my friends in the parts. And we put it on, and it was a big success. And then we went on and did the Archies. Remember the Archies with Sugar Sugar? And we did a play about that comic book. And that got me into writing. And so I always knew I wanted to write. And anytime, like, I grew up in a tourist town. Bar Harbor's a tourist town. So anytime I saw a New York license plate, I'd chase after and go, take me with you! Take me with you! I don't want to be bagging groceries anymore. And finally got to NYU. I was only 2 years out of NYU when I got the job on Golden Girls. And I had a writing partner, David Goodman, and we had written these spec scripts, Family Ties, and a Golden Girls spec script. And it was during the writer's strike of 1988. That's how old I am. This woman who was guiding us sent them out to Tony Thomas in LA, and he brought us out. He moved us out. It was like 2 weeks before my 24th birthday, and I got this call. I thought it was a crank. He's like, would you move out to write in the Golden Girls? I'm like, David, what are you doing? You know, it's like, I thought it was a joke, but then there we were.
So you experienced a lot of success almost right out of the gate, but obviously that goes to show you your ambition, your drive, everything that led you to getting your dreams to come true. So what was it like to work on the Golden Girls? That must have been a pretty special experience.
I look back, it was very surreal, Steph. It was like, it just like 1 week I was in New York, and then the next week I was on the set with these icons of television. We were there about 2 seasons. The first season was great. The second season got a little political. But you always think, oh, my career is always going to be like this. You know, it's always going to be on a top 10 show. And then you quickly find out it's much more of a struggle throughout the decades, you know, that follow. I was at the Emmy Awards that year. I was like, I didn't even have a tie. I had I got to do something here, you know. So it was pretty surreal. And I really, in fact, next week, as part of this LA Pride, I'm going to be on a panel. It's the 40th anniversary of the Golden Girls. And it's me and 3 other writers and then the script supervisor are all coming in to do a panel next week in Hollywood.
Wow, that's exciting. So what's the details on that? How can anyone take that?
It's Pride LA Live. It's and you can find it if you put Golden Girls panel LA Pride, it'll come up, and the tickets you can go buy tickets. I think it's pretty close to being sold out, so, but I'll be there next week on the panel. Yeah.
Wow, it's really exciting. So then from working in television, then you also started working in film. And like I said, I love the Brady Bunch. And then you worked on Scooby-Doo. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience, especially the transition between TV and movies?
Well, we did sitcoms for like 5 years, David and I, but we were together a long time writing. And but when we were doing a lot of TV, we got an opportunity to write a film for Amblin and Steven Spielberg. And it was based on someone we had worked with in sitcoms, and because you always get that job from who you know, from when you were like working with. And so we wrote this behind the scenes film about an old 1950s show called Howdy Doody. And it was called Say Kids, What Time Is It? And that led us into doing a feature career. And then I had another friend, Larisse Elawani, who had written My Girl, the Macaulay Culkin, Anna Chlumsky movie. And she was offered the Brady Bunch movie, and she said she wouldn't do it without me because we both knew all the episodes and watched it religiously. And that kind of got me into the Brady Bunch. I mostly write books now, which I absolutely love. Right as the YouTube was coming out, me and 2 friends and I wrote a script called Where the Bears Are, and it led to being an online series for like 7 years on YouTube and Vimeo, and now this week at the same festivals I'm doing the Golden Girls, we're going to screen the documentary of the making of the show called A Big Gay Hairy Hit. Where the Bears Are, the documentary. And that's almost sold out too. That's this Friday. Same website where you can get tickets to all these events.
So this is one of your newest books that were released, and there's another one coming out really soon, but you've written plenty of other books before. So can you tell us about all the works that you've been doing?
I've actually written 35 books.
Oh my
mystery
goodness!
novels.
Wow.
I do several series. I do the Haley Powell Food and Cocktails Mysteries with my sister, set in Barber, Maine, and she's a food columnist. It's all about solving murders. Every book I've ever written is about solving murders. I did one here set in Palm Springs called the Poppy Harmon Mysteries, and then I have a new one. I have another series, Maya and Sandra, about two moms, soccer moms who solve mysteries in their town, and the Murder at the High School Reunion, the 5th one, is coming out. But this one is very special to me because back in 2003, you're probably not even born yet, I did these books called The Actor's Guide to Murder, and it was about a gay former child star who lived in Hollywood with his policeman boyfriend and solved crimes. And I pitched it as a TV series, and Universal was like, no, we're not there yet. It was back in the 90s. So instead I wrote a book, and the books didn't do well at all. They came out, people kind of knew of them, but they didn't really sell a lot. And I had a psychic here in Palm Springs tell me, and I wasn't even living here yet, and he said, that character will come back someday. And I said, you're out of your mind. These books did not do well at all, And lo and behold, 2 years ago, I have the same editor I had 20 years ago. He called me up and he said, I want to bring that character back, but make him older, like in his late 50s. He has a daughter, and they live in Palm Springs, and they solve murders together. And I'm like, that's perfect. So that's what happened. My father always finds corpses. That's how that came about.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So it was ahead of its time, I guess.
Yes,
right?
I guess so.
Maybe you never know. Dust off those old books that you've written, and they might have a second life. So how can everyone get a hold of your books and to learn more about you?
Well, Amazon and Barnes & Noble are the two places that we sell the most books. But you also can go to leehollismysteries.com, which is my pen name. And the reason is because my name was so known for where the bears are in TV work and stuff. And my sister was helping out with recipes and columns in the books. We merged our middle names together to form Lee Hollis. I've got a new series that'll be out about Down East Maine mysteries, about 3 generations of Maine women solving a murder in their hometown. Very Halibut, very, very Jessica Fletcher, Murder, She Wrote. And then this series I do with my sister's wrapping up next year with Death of a Grill Master. We do everything's Death of a Blueberry Tart, Death of a Lobster Lover. And so we're doing a sequel series, a mother-daughter sequel series on that one, which will be out in 2027. So I've got about 5 or 6 more books lined up, which will keep me busy.
Wow, sounds amazing. So, and then on the last note, what's some advice that you can give to someone who's either an aspiring writer or maybe a discouraged writer? What advice can you share with them?
Well, I know this is such a cliche, but it's like write what you're passionate about. Like I started out on sitcoms and Golden Girls. I was very lucky, but at the same time, it wasn't my true passion. My true passion has always been murder mysteries, like the old Columbos and Macmillan and Wives, and even Charlie's Angels. I was obsessed with Charlie's Angels. Crime solving. When you are pursuing your passion, when you're something that really speaks to you, and not just trying to meet the market needs, like, oh, I hear, they're looking for more romantic comedies, even, so you try your hand at that. It really is what is interesting to you, because if you're writing it and it's interesting to you, it will be interesting to other people.
Wonderful. That's great advice. So thank you so much for being here on California Limelight. Appreciate your time and being able to share all this exciting
Well, my
adventure.
pleasure. Thank you.